it's time for a serious discussion. Oh, I'm starting to miss these. Nowadays, anyone can become famous. You make a funny video on the internet, PewDiePie. You could sing fairly well, Ariana Grande. You could skateboard without falling on your ass, Tony Hawk. Today, fame means absolutely nothing outside of your 15 minutes in the spotlight. And when that is up, most people will hold on to that like the corpse of a loved one after a shipwreck. There was once a time when people needed talent and needed skill to be famous. And before I continue, I will admit, I am nothing special. I have no discernible talent except for maybe cracking jokes on the internet and drawing pretty pictures. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. But there was once a time when rappers needed to claw their way up to maybe have a spot on the radio for a week. Nowadays, all you need are some basic beats and some faulty drum machines, and you're at the top of the charts. That's just an example. Now, what is the point of all of this stuff that I am saying exactly? Well, as a people, we Americans, and I'm pretty sure some of you outside of the US do this too, like to deify our celebrities. We like to look at Jay-Z and Beyonce like they are some sort of literal musical pantheon. We look at Markiplier like he's some sort of god of the internet. Hell, I've even lost my mind after meeting Peter Petrelli himself at Comic-Con. We worship these people like they are some sort of homo novus that we will only hope and dream to aspire to be like. But what really takes the cake is when a celebrity or person of status dies. If you've ever seen The Sopranos, it's a running gag that Mama Soprano would continually canonize her deceased husband as a saint. But, in reality, she didn't really care much for him when he was alive. When a person of status dies, we blow them up with their popularity. When Vincent van Gogh was alive, for example, his paintings weren't worth much. But, now, people would kill for the original Starry Night. When Prince died, people held him up on a pedestal. Now, I'll admit, I didn't really care much for Prince, but even people who weren't remotely familiar with his work were looking at him like he was the second coming of Beethoven. But what's worst of all is how some people see famous celebrities as gods after their deaths, but have never seen or experienced anything they've done. These are people like Kurt Cobain, Tupac, Bob Marley, and Marilyn Monroe. Kurt Cobain was a musical genius. No, he wasn't. Bob Marley was a recreational pot advocate. No, he wasn't. Marilyn Monroe was this amazing celebrity that everyone should aspire to be like, and she just died way too soon. No, she wasn't. Kurt Cobain was a pretentious musician, but that's my 2 cents. Tupac was a gifted musician. However, it was only after his death that people actually started listening to what he was trying to say. And even then, they were misinterpreting it left and right, not really understanding that he was talking about the misdeeds of the ghetto life, and not glorifying it. Bob Marley will be seen by many stoners and frat boys as some sort of god of the modern-day stoner who advocates for pot use, so you need to legalize it now. When in reality, the guy was a Rastafarian, which is a religion that sees pot as something to be used spiritually or medically, not recreationally. And that was something he actively spoke about. But the person who gets it the absolute worst is Marilyn Monroe. Yes, she was an icon of pop culture. Yes, she was a stunning woman who died before her time. No, she was not this queen of Hollywood that had the world at her feet. Now bear with this anecdote, will you? I remember once I went out with this girl at the mall, and we passed by a kiosk that sold nothing but Marilyn Monroe t-shirts. And it was at that point I realized that people love the idea of Marilyn Monroe far more than the person that was once Norma Jean Mortensen. The dumb blonde persona that people saw was just an act. In reality, she was a socially insecure little girl in a woman's body that survived a bad childhood and couldn't relate to people on a base level, which caused her to stress out and overdose. The exact same thing happened with Michael Jackson. He had a traumatic childhood that led to a damaged adulthood, which led to an early grave. These symbols of pop culture and people of status are just that. People. They eat, they sleep, they breathe, just like everyone else. And some of them, I'm assuming, were genuinely memorable people, like Robin Williams and Muhammad Ali. But all people will ever remember is the personas they put on. Now, here's the deal. Kanye West is a human, despite him saying otherwise. LeBron James is not Zeus. Kit Harington can die like everyone else, though, spoiler alert, he will come back in the next season.